Perth, Western Australia. I haven't had the chance to meet many of you, so this is the first time that I will get to meet you, so I really appreciate you coming today. I'd also like to introduce you to Serene, who's my colleague here at Aspire. Both of us are new and both of us are working on this project. So I hope that you can share some of your knowledge, because I know some of you have done it for many, many years. In fact, I know this is one of the longest programs that we've run in all its different iterations and different names. So I'd really like to call on you to share your own knowledge amongst the group, amongst the community that participate in this program as well. So if you know something that's really worked for you in the nomination process, it's really important to share. So I encourage you to do that. Before we get going, I'd like to do an acknowledgement to country. We all come from such different places in Western Australia, but we're also very aware and grateful of the significant influence and continuing influence that our First Nations people place and play in Western Australia. And I acknowledge their teachings, their learnings, their culture, and really, I know myself am very appreciative of that and the part they play. So I acknowledge their elders, their past and present. And where I'm sitting at the moment, it's Wajak Noongar country, but I know that many of you are in different areas of the state. So I acknowledge those elders, past, present, and future emerging. So let's get going. A bit of housekeeping before we start. As I said, we've got you on mute, but please ask questions in the chat. And then the mute was really just at the beginning to get you guys, I know it can be a bit noisy when we all start with the technical issues that we still have 2 years after starting off with Teams and Zoom and all that kind of thing. So feel free to take yourself off mute if you want to ask a question, but please put yourself back on as we're going along. If you can have the cameras, it's great, because in my case and Serene's case, we haven't met many of you, so it really helps us build a relationship via the computer. Appreciate it. And I would also like to introduce Jenny Safan, who's been with us for a lot longer than Serene and I have, and has participated in running the program with Anne-Marie, who retired last week. And Jenny will be also able to answer some of the questions and jumping in. As I said, it is recorded for those people who may have come in late, so please be aware of that and feel free to ask questions. Feedback is constantly encouraged in this program and in our relationship with you. So let's get going. Okay, so the Community Citizen of the Year Awards. It's all about, as you well know, recognising those individuals and those groups making such a difference in your community, in your local councils, in your local community. And they may live in your local community, they may work in your local community, and they may play in your local community. We know that a community is made up of all different types of people, and hopefully of the more than 800 nominees that we've had this year, you've had some winning ones that you really are excited about profiling and promoting this year. I am sure that all of you are all over the login to the local council back end of the citizenshipawards.com.au. But for those that may have come on in the last week or so and been given this role, this is your COTI number or password to log in, and there's a huge amount of tools in the back end of the award, of the awards website, which has the toolkit, which has access to previous webinars, which has access to your scoring sheets and other tools that you should be utilising, that you may have utilised in the nomination process, but now in this selection process, that there are also those tools there. So just a bit of background for those that are new to the program. It is a true grassroots community recognition awards program. We're really wanting to find the people that are making a difference in your community and making it a stronger, more welcoming, a belonging community, and that's where the strength of this program comes about. We've been running for more than 2 decades, and that's a remarkable achievement, and it has huge recognition all over the state. We are very grateful for the new governor, who's also come on board, like previous governors of Western Australia, to be patron of the program. And we've just printed off all the certificates or awards, getting ready for your names to come in, of your successful nominees, with the governor's signature on it. So it's looking great. This program reaches out to more than 80 communities in Western Australia via local councils. And communities are greater than just local councils. We've actually, last year it was 73 local councils that participated in the program. And I think we've got 71 this year. So we know that each local council may have a number of different communities where they run the awards out of. And so there's numerous communities, local councils that run numerous sites for the awards programs, hence the numbers a bit higher there. Because this generally, and it doesn't have to, but generally the awards are presented on Australia Day, it's one of the busiest times of the years and one of the major celebrations of Australia Day. And we know many of the local governments choose to do it on Australia Day. This year is the first time also that we've had a principal partner with support from the Department of Communities. And can I ask if you have the opportunity, when you're writing briefing notes in your notes for your mayoral address, that there is some acknowledgement of, if that's possible and appropriate in your local council, to acknowledge the Department of Communities' involvement in the program this year. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'll just stop for a second and let's see if there any questions come up. Serena, if anyone asks them in the chat, can you let me know? Okay, great. So the outcomes of the program, always a good thing when we're talking about programs. What are we trying to achieve? We really are trying to achieve that inspiring community. We want more and more grassroots to make a difference, to be involved in that active citizenship space and really make a difference in their local community. We know that's the strength of a state, of a country, is how well we're connected. And I think we've learnt that over the last 2 years with COVID. It's been one of the key learnings of, when we're connected, we are much stronger. It is also about celebrating diversity and celebrating inclusion. We want everyone to have access to this awards program, and more we are focusing more on that diversity element and that inclusion element, and making sure that everyone can access and everyone should be recognised when they're doing something amazing. So when, again, you're writing your speech notes for your mayor or your special guests, or participating in that, please go back to what the program outcomes are, because I think that's really important. It's also really important to remind people on your selection panel, that's what we're aiming for. These are the people who are making a difference, okay? So those 4 things: inspiring community, promoting active citizenship, celebrating diversity, and building more inclusive communities. We will put this PowerPoint up on the Coddy backend, so you can have access to it again. Okay, I know that many of you have access to this again already, and should have, and probably have lots of highlighted bits in your books. But for those who may be new and have come on board since September, or since the last webinar in August, just a reminder, there's the toolkit. It has everything in there that you could possibly want, and probably more than you could possibly want, to be perfectly honest. But have a read of it, use it as your guide, because it has all the recommendations in there in a lot more detail than we're going to cover today. We'd also love actually some feedback on the guide. If there's other things that you want in the guide, let us know. We will send out in January or late February some feedback. So if there's other things that you could say, actually this would be really helpful, or we really need this, or I need a bit more of this and I don't need as much of that, that really helps us improve it so that's easy for you to run, because that's our intention. We want to make this easy, useful and valuable for you. Okay, so just to go through the flow chart of the process. So where we're at now is sort of midway through that process. Your nominations have been received by you guys as the CODI coordinators, and you should have already sent out your reference form to all the nominees to make sure, in an ideal way, that you've got referees. This is our preferred or recommended process. You don't have to do it, but it's good governance process. And we know that different local councils do things in different ways, but we do recommend that you get your references and you do a sort of a check on each of your nominees. It's just good governance process. And I know that all local governments really focus on good governance, but I would encourage you to do the reference checks. And a Google search, always useful, I find these days, in both recruiting people and also awards, is always do a Google search on people. It's good to do for yourself, actually. Always check out what's out there about yourself as well. So your nominee forms should have been returned back to you by now. And at this stage, you should be asking, yes, have they been returned? And if they haven't been returned, follow up. It's a really important part of the process. Does anyone have any questions about that process right now?
Yeah, can I just quickly ask?
Sure, Leanne.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I just, with the reference checks, I have just sent them to, we've done the voting panel meeting and we've selected our 4 winners, and I'm just sending the reference checks to the 4 winners.
Yes, and that's fine.
From a larger local government, I did get a few nominations, so I don't bother sending them to everyone. I just send them to the 4 winners. That's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, that's completely okay. It depends on each local council may have, in your case, you are a very large local council and you do have a large number of nominees. So that makes sense, right? So
thank you.
It makes sense. Anyone else have any questions about that process? Okay, great. So taking Leanne's situation or example, she's already got or sent out the nominees. In her case, in that city, they have decided to just investigate, refer, follow up on those 4 people, and that's fine. So hopefully they've all come back in. So CODI coordinators are now doing the appropriate reference checks. So in your case, Leanne, the flowchart's a little bit different because the reference checks are below the selection committee discussion and panel referral. Okay, so where you guys should ideally be at, and we know again that this all depends on you guys being able to get your reference checks back. You should be actually undertaking your selection panel process this week or next week in an ideal situation. So hopefully everyone's on track for that. Now your selection, let me just go to the next one. Your selection panel, and I'll refer to the toolkit for this one here, it has a significant number of recommendations or suggestions, best practice on what your selection panel should look like or who should be involved. Again, these are just recommendations. You may choose to have people who are key people from your community involved in the selection panel as well. So at the moment, we say the selection panel may include your council mayor or your shire president, your CEO of the council, a couple of council members, your Community Citizen of the Year Awards coordinator, which is yourselves, I'm guessing, and the former Community Citizen of the Year award recipients, because they know what they're looking for as well, having participated. And then also your business and local community organisation representatives. I'm just going to ask, does anyone want to share the type of people that they have that we may have not covered there? It'd be great to hear if you've got someone else or you found someone else that we haven't written in the notes. Leanne, did you have anyone different on your?
No, I usually have the mayor involved, but he was not able to attend this year. I had our deputy mayor. I had the director of community development, our area that within that, and I also had the manager of community services and my service lead attend. Fantastic. So I didn't have anyone external, but yeah, got those. 4 people.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share who they've had on their panel that they found useful? Nope. Okay, well, there's some ideas. Sorry, Leanne, I'm going to keep going to you because you should never talk at these things. You keep getting questions back. Thank you. So preparing for the meeting, obviously a copy of your nominees' content should be going to each of your selection committee members. And along with what we recommend are these selection score sheets. This is just a recommendation. You may do things a bit differently in your own organisation. Again, Leanne, did you use these? I really am sorry, I'm calling on you, but
that's totally fine. All good.
Yeah.
No, I sent those to the panel members along with obviously the nomination forms. I held a voting meeting before the actual panel meeting, so I did that
as a shortlist process.
As a shortlist process, and we did a final push. We found that there were not enough suitable nominations, so that helped us do a real good push for the end to get more.
Well,
and
got
then
people involved as well from across the agency. Yeah.
And I just ensured that the voting panel members had their nomination forms a week early so that they could really read through them and make their own decisions prior to the meeting, so it was easier. And then they just came in and came to an agreement.
Much more effective than having a very long meeting.
Yep.
So great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, so as we say, all the information should be sent. In Leanne's case, she had suggested everyone mark and make their recommendations and come to the meeting. Other organisations may want to, local governments may want to do that thinking and discussing in the room. It depends how you like to work things. But we do recommend make it as easy as possible for your selection panel and give them all the information that they're going to ask for. Hence why we do sometimes suggest have the reference checks done prior, but equally you can have reference checks done after. That's really important as well. I've already said that we've kept it very broad, and the reason we keep it broad is because we know that each local government has their own slant or way of doing things, and we don't want to be prescriptive, we want to be helpful. So any feedback on that and having that balance is fine. Thank you to all the people who are saying, sorry, I can't talk, sorry, I can't speak. No pressure. And thanks, I appreciate you saying that you'd love to if you could, but thanks. Okay, and I've suggested that you do a Google search at the very least as well, because I think that's always useful to see what else is out there. It's just part of good governance these days, especially in recruitment. So just a reminder, the selection panel, we assess the nominations in relation to 4 things: demonstrate leadership on a community issue, demonstrates inspiring qualities as a role model, because these people have a big role to play in your local community to show others how to do it and to really offer that opportunity to help lead the next intake, I suppose. Contribute to the community over and above their paid employment, and that's really important, and created a significant initiative that brought about positive change in your community. Okay. Obviously, the meeting is really important and it's also very confidential. So we suggest that people sign or follow. Obviously, if they're internal staff, they already have a confidentiality agreement about this information, but having that confidence and that confidence that the data's kept appropriate and secure and professional is really important as well. So we encourage that. After the selection panel meeting, we remind you not to notify the recipients before the presentation. So don't give them the heads up, just invite them to the event, but don't tell them that they have won something, because that's the day of the event notification. What we require from you is by the 9th of December is to send us a copy of the names. of the people, the successful or the recipients that will be receiving the award. And this is for a number of reasons. The most important reason is that that's how you get your certificates. We print out the names on the award. So it's really, really important that you get the spelling right. You double check, triple check, and get it right, because more often than not, sadly, we get phone calls at the last minute from the local council saying, oh, it's the wrong spelling, and that was what was put into the system. So please double check. I know we're all busy, especially at this time of year. Christmas is bearing down on us really quick, and all those deadlines are, but please triple check before you submit. The other really important reason is this helps us understand who's who is winning these awards in your local council. An element of this that we've noticed is that some local councils do get hard copy applications, and that's completely fine. But we also need, hard copy nominee forms, and that's completely fine. But we need you to put that to the CODI system, because then we know, and you know, that there's one central repository of data that we can say, actually, that person has been nominated 5 years in a row. But if you keep it as hard copies, we don't have that information. We can't provide that information to you, and we don't have a good understanding of what's happening in your area, because we have partial information, which is the online nominees, not the hard copy. Can I ask, just with a show of hands for those people who can, how many people are receiving hard copies still? Yeah, okay. And are you okay to put them into the back end as well? Is that something that you've put as part of your sort of, is it Kirsty?
Kirsty.
Yeah, Kirsty.
Yeah. Look, the one I got was minimal. They actually didn't give me why they nominated this person. I had like 10 words. So I did try, but we needed 30 words, and I couldn't elaborate for them.
No, you can't make it up.
No.
Okay. Daniel, you also put your hand up, I saw.
Yeah, so I'll put it in the back end. Yeah, just something I noticed yesterday. We had one.
Great, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. It's really important for us to have that information. And then next year, when you ask us a question, we'll be able to give you the right data. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions about how to submit the recipients' names and by the due date of the 9th? For those people that aren't on microphone, you can always do a chat if you've got a question. Okay, moving along then. So once you've submitted the nominees or the successful recipients, we'll be sending out the certificates with the names, and you should receive them at the latest by the 15th of January. So what we found over years of doing this, if we send them too early, they get lost in the mail over the Christmas period because a lot of people shut down. So we send them as soon as we're back in January, and then you'll have them by the 15th. Okay, that's the approximate timeline. Is everyone comfortable with that? Okay, no, great, fantastic. If you do have any concerns, just reach out to us afterwards. Now, each of you in your local governments run your own Community Citizen of the Year award a bit differently, and as you should. You've all got different personalities of local councils, different experiences, different desires, sometimes even different strategies and objectives. So it's unique to yourself. And the day and the Community Citizen of the Year awards should also be just how you want it. But what we do like to do is post the award after the day is promote it and really promote those people who are making that difference, who are inspiring the community. So we ask you to use the templates that we have in the back end as well. Take excellent photos, because that's really important. And these days, no one has really excuse with all the iPhones and Galaxies that we all have. We can all be quite good photographers. And then tag people in. So share it on Facebook, tag us in, and tag us in as Aspire Australia Day Council WA. I'd also encourage you to tag in National Australia Day Council, although they don't have the Community Citizen of the Year Awards is West Australian specific, it's a good thing to communicate and show that on a national level. Here are some photos from last year to give you some examples that we've received through the other local councils. Questions? I'm glad that I've given you so much information that you don't need to ask any questions, but does anyone actually have any questions or concerns or issues that we'd like to solve, or some suggestions even, or want to share where they're up to in that process? Nope. Okay. Well, you've had the opportunity to meet myself and Serene, who's from Aspire. Jenny's here too, but she's about soon to go on to maternity leave. So thank you, Jenny, for all your hard work with Community Citizen of the Year Awards. I'm sure the local councils, on behalf of the local councils, I'm sure they've thank you for the time and effort that you've connected with them over the last year or two. And you may not see Jenny again, but you will see Serene and I. And if you have any questions, please contact us. We're here and willing to help you in any way. I'll stay online for a little bit longer if anyone wants one-on-one questions, but otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Please refer to the toolkit. We will post this again in the back end for those people that want to refer back to it. I should say, actually, one thing, I know that many of you have applied for the National Australia Day Council community grants. Hopefully you've all received an email letting you know that NADC, so this is not us, NADC, National Australia Day Council, run these grants out through Canberra. You'll be notified by the 5th of December at the latest if you've been successful. They have been seriously oversubscribed this year, which is exciting in one way because it means people are doing lots of creative things out there for Australia Day, but a bit sad that some people are going to miss out on funding this year. So I hope you've got backup plans if you don't get the funding. And obviously I have no idea who's getting the funding. We've had NADC have had more than 570 applications. One other thing that's important is that we are still yet to receive notification from the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet about the King's official portrait. So if you're running a citizenship ceremony, not a survey, you might do a survey after, but a ceremony, you still need to display the Queen's portrait. Okay, don't do a creative one of the King. That's not allowed. So at the moment, until we notify you otherwise, and we will, as our local council members, notify you when we have the King's portrait available, it has to be the official one, and the Prime Minister and Cabinet have not yet got that. Okay, is everyone okay with that as well? Because I know that's going to be a little bit strange that we've got a Queen showing, but things may happen over the next couple of months. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your help. Thank you for participation. When I send out the email that asks for the surveys, I really encourage you to give us feedback. We want to make this a program that is really, really worthwhile. I know that in the last one, Anne-Marie mentioned that we were doing a survey, and we have conducted that very in-depth survey, and we'll be able to share some results with you early next year of the significant impact that the Community Citizen of the Year Awards does play in your community from both your perspective as local governments, but also from the perspectives of finalists and nominees. And it's exciting, you know, it really makes a change in your community. So I encourage you to keep going, and we look forward to chatting in the new year. And any questions, just contact Serena or myself. Thank you, everyone. I'll stay on a little bit longer. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too. Okay, any questions? I think we have a frozen attendee. Okay. I think we'll leave, no questions. Thank you, everyone. See you later.